Welcome back to CEOs of the Industry. I'm your host, Jim Eady, today joined by John McIntire, CEO and partner at Pike Pig Systems. Welcome, John.
Morning, Jim.
You got a unique setup with Pike Pig Systems. Can you start with an overview of you, your role, the size and scope of the business, and what makes your operation stand out in the U.S. pork industry?
Yeah, we're located in Western Illinois, and most of the sow units are owned by shareholders, which take the pigs home to finish for the most part. There is some multiplication within the system that we produce gilts for other farms as well, plus our own. So there's about 25,000 sows in the system, and like I said, it's located mostly in Western Illinois.
So you went from an operator to a partner and grown into a leadership role at Pike Pig Systems. How did the transition happen, John? And what changed you once you had ownership responsibility?
Yeah, I did. I actually started with a veterinary clinic that started one of the first sow units in the area back in 1995, actually. And there was three veterinarians, and unfortunately, two passed away, so it became a single veterinarian-owned business. And in 2009, we split that off from the veterinary group to the management system and the veterinary group. Um, so that's kind of how it became. Pike Pig Systems was in 2009. I own the majority of the company along with one veterinarian currently.
So how does being a partner in a 25,000 South system shape your long-term thinking and leadership approach?
We always think about obviously the employees and the families and the shareholders within the groups. That's our main focus. Just trying to do what's right every day for those people.
So I know you guys are people focused and built to last, and you've retained managers for years. It's no small feat in this environment where labor is always a challenge, John. What's been your strategy to build and keep strong teams?
We're very lucky, Jim. We have one manager that's been with us less than 10 years, and the majority are 15 to over 20 years. So we've been very lucky in that respect. I think the system is built to have a repeatable system every week so that those people feel successful and can gauge how things are going every week for them.
And what about how do you develop talent internally so people see a career path than just a job, John?
We do very little recruiting. Most of our people come from within that we try to build and make ourselves. That's really been a key to our success, I think, is people that are long term that know the system and want to do better for themselves and do better for the farm itself.
Do you have a leadership philosophy or organizational structure that creates loyalty?
I think the employees and especially the farm managers just have to know that you have their back and are willing to do what's right and adapt for their situation. Um, it's just doing what's right for people and letting good people do good things for the farm.
So I know one of the things we talked about is why you wean bigger pigs. So you're known for weaning pigs at 25 plus days. Why is that part of your core strategy?
We do, and it's for several reasons. Most of our system, as I said, takes the pigs back home to finish. So it's about selling pounds of pork per sow or per farrowing crate because that's our fixed asset and what we need to pay the bank back for. So we have to get a return for those extra crates. And so that's been the philosophy of it is that we have to make money on the finishing end, and it all starts the way we breed sows and the way we wean pigs. So that's really the core belief. Uh, does it make more pigs per sow? In the end, we're not very much different than farms that wean younger age, but we do sell more weight in the end, and that's what we get paid for.
So how does that decision influence sow performance, pig health, and the success of producer partners?
You know, the really important part for us is to run rooms all in, all out, have a strategic system weekly, and consistent pig flows. So the older weaning age does that. Facilities are built to do older weaning age, and we believe that the industry is trying to move towards an older weaning age, and we feel like we are already there. We've been there for 20 plus years now at 25 plus days of age, and we think that's a key to our success.
Are there economic or welfare outcomes that validate this approach?
On the production side, sows do cycle back about half a day sooner than the younger wean age. We really don't see uh, nutritional deficiencies in these sows. They actually gain weight the last week of lactation. So we wean and produce really good sows. Wean pig weights are 15 plus pounds consistently week to week. And so that's really what we're after. It makes a huge difference in the nursery and finisher phase of what the weaning weight was of those pigs going out.
So we've all kind of managed through a tough landscape the last few years in the industry, John, with rising costs, labor shortages, market pressures. How are you keeping Pike efficient yet adaptable?
I don't know that we've changed our philosophy, Jim. We operate every day, whether good or bad economically. We operate the same as if it is bad, even though there are times it's very profitable and there are times there's a bad side to the business. But we really don't change our philosophy. We operate the same every day and try to be the most efficient we can and the most cost efficient. We don't want to be least cost producers. We want to be the most profitable producers. So we feel like there's times to spend money that make us a good return, and there are times that we should not spend money and maybe put off a project.
So for you, it's like the overall vision and culture, long term, not getting too high or too low with things and maintaining your vision, but adapting appropriately then.
Right.
Um, so what about balancing efficiency with maintaining the people first culture that you guys value?
I don't know that we specifically have one. I think every employee or every situation is different. So we try to change on the fly and adapt as we go, and every situation is different. So I think with our size, that allows us to be able to do that and gain efficiency and gain trust of our people.
So do you have a message for your team during tough stretches to keep the morale strong, or is it always steady, like steady approach?
It's steady, Jim, but we always tell them to keep their head up, and granted, there's times when it's very tough to do that. Obviously, the last 2 or 3 years has been tough, but we want to do what's right all the time, and we want to be better when times are better, and we stress that to our employees to do what's right and do what's right for the animals.
So let's talk about the power of shareholder-owned farms, John. So your model is unique. Your farms are shareholder-owned. How does that impact your operations and accountability?
Shareholders own farms is a unique perspective, and that there are a lot of farms that or farm owners that would like to know maybe more about the sow farm's day-to-day operations. There are shareholders within the same group that really don't care to know anything and just get the pigs that they want to receive. So in my part, it's a balancing act of trying to communicate effectively and what people need, but yet not over communicate and convolute what they need to know and hear. So each week we send out an email to typically all the owners of just production updates and maybe just small items that list what went on at the farm, and sometimes that creates more questions, and sometimes that suffices in what they want to know. So it is the communication is the hardest part.
But it seems like you're communicating consistently. Now, with this current model, does it affect decision-making speed, innovation, and buy-in from producers?
Most of the farms meet quarterly, face to face for the most part. So that creates a different perspective. Uh, they're always glad to see each other and maybe get off sidetrack on the football game or crops. But in the end, they get back to business, and everybody has maybe their agenda on what they need for their home farm from the sow farm, and so that maybe creates a different, unique perspective on what each of them wants. But uh, decision making sometimes can be slow, and sometimes it can be very fast. It just depends on the situation. But um, yeah, it's a challenge sometimes.
So do you see this model as a blueprint for other pork operations?
Yeah, I think there's several within the industry today. I think it can work very well with the right amount of shareholders and the right maybe mentality to be a partner in a business like this.
So let's talk a little bit about PIC, boars, and genetic strategy, which is always an important topic in the industry. So you manage a 240 head boar facility and work directly with PIC. How does that partnership support your goals for quality and consistency?
Yeah, we started out in 1997 with this boar stud, and we've added doubled it in size since. We have mainly PIC boars in this facility. Obviously, they do the genetic progress for us and create the index system that we use to make culling decisions and actually different indexes go to different farms depending on owner desire. But yeah, it's a day-to-day and hand-in-hand operation with PIC.
Are you seeing trends in genetics, health, or boar development that are changing how you manage production?
Obviously with the PRRS resistant pig coming on, there's potential to change some of that and what the sow farm's desire is for that process. Um, Indexing has changed. The focus has changed on maybe a particular farm for a particular trait. So I think we're fluid in that farm, and I think that's a unique perspective of that farm being a user group and being able to change on the go as well.
So do you see opportunities for precision data or AI to play a role in genetics decision making in the future?
I do, Jim. I think a lot of that is yet to be determined, with the technology that's coming on board and who knows what the next step is after all this.
Well, I think that leads to the next segment, quiet innovation and real impact, John. So I know you've been called like under the radar despite running a high performance or performing tech forward system. What's one innovation you've adopted that's made a real difference?
I think the latest one is, we did some trial work on water additives, and that's been our latest one. We've added some hypochlorous water systems into these farms for not only disinfectant but water quality to the animals, and we think we see a really good payback on that. It's a fairly simple process, and we do own a generator that actually makes that process sustainable for us. So that's really been our last one, and we seem to have had a really good payback on that type of stuff.
So other than that water quality example, are there examples of technology investments that have paid off?
I can't say that we've really made a huge ongoing uh, technology other than, obviously on-farm data uh, that the employees put in and stuff like that many other farms do day to day. So we're just, really it's just simplify our system and make the people predictable for the people and successful. That's really what we're focused on.
So how do you balance the need for innovation with the risk of disrupting what's already working well?
I think we want to simplify our system, Jim, and we want to adapt. We don't maybe always want to be the first. We definitely don't want to be the last to adapt technology, but we want to do what our people can handle and be consistent with it and get a return on investment.
So we've got a couple hot topics, John. I'm going to give you a choice, several issues in the pork industry. I'm going to list four options. I'll let you touch base on your choice. Prop 12 and regulatory pressures, compliance and market access challenges. Number two, tariffs and trade uncertainty, impact on exports and pricing. Number three, meat quality and consumer expectations, balancing efficiency with premium product demands. Number four, labor and immigration policies, workforce stability, and automation trends.
I'll touch base on the workforce item, and obviously, I think majority of the farms in the U.S. are using immigrant labor. Uh, there are some speculation of does the government want these folks in the country or not? And obviously, we all want them to come in legally, and that's a big thing. And obviously we all try to do what's right for those people and for the US government and what they require as well. So, um, I think the labor thing is an outstanding issue for all farms in the US, whether it be pig farms or grain farms or whatever. So, it's an ongoing issue. It's tough. We want them to come in legal. We want them to be successful. So that's really the focus, I guess, is how do we continue our business with the challenges that arise on the labor side.
So we talked earlier about you've retained a lot of employees. Are you approaching this issue strategically with the labor, or have you faced any challenges?
Really, our shortage of labor came through COVID era, like everybody else did. So really, through September of 2020, we really struggled with some labor issues just on these farms. But it was almost like a switch was set off, and we have really never been short on labor since 2020. We're full staffed 100% of the time, and we really don't advertise or anything like that. It's all word of mouth, and so I think that lends a good hand to what we've done, the way we treat people. So, um, you know, I think if we can stay fully staffed on these farms, we obviously want to teach these people and always do better, and that's our goal.
And with the labor specifically, do you see any other opportunities or risks that might shape the industry because of it?
Uh, Not in particular, more than maybe what we're going through currently. Obviously there's lots of issues with labor, but I think we're learning to adapt and how do we get those people to work, whether it be visas or however that happens. That's our goal, is really to have a sustainable workforce.
Well, you built a great infrastructure, a great company at Pike Pig Systems, John. What about the next 5 years? Do you have a vision? How do you define success at this stage of your career?
I think we still want to grow, strategically grow. We don't want to grow too fast. We don't want to grow too slow. We want to partner with the right people and be a good partner when we do that. So that's really our goal. That's how we're going to grow, I think, is you know, better partners and a focus on where we want to go.
And what kind of legacy are you trying to build for the next gen of leaders and partners?
That's a good question, and as this business and the ownership gets older, it's getting harder to build legacy. But it really is to do what's right for the people, for the animals, and obviously we're in it to make money, and that's where we want to go.
Are there any investments or operational changes coming that you're excited about?
Just I think more people will adapt to the older weaning age like we are today currently in this system. That's the goal. There are lots of systems out there that can actually increase wean age just by tightening up the system a little bit and being more efficient. So that's where I think the industry's headed is maybe an older weaning age and just trying to get there.
Are you good for a fast five closing segment, John?
I can try.
So a quote or mindset that guides you.
Every day, try to get up and do what's best.
The most underrated part of pork production right now.
I would say the people, the people work very hard.
A leadership lesson that you had to learn the hard way.
To be able to delegate and communicate effectively.
Favorite part of your day on the farm or in the office.
Really, at the end of the day, just to see how much we've accomplished day to day and how successful we've been.
And 3 words to describe Pike Pig Systems currently.
I would say unique, driven, and focused.
Well, John McIntire, it was great to catch up today on CEOs of the industry. Thanks for taking the time with us.
Thank you very much, Jim.